All right, so this is Note-Taking Guide 9.1, and we're going to talk about the different parts of a circle today. Does anybody know what the center of the circle is?
The center.
Yeah, the center for sure, you're right. It's like the middle of the circle, right? So the center is the middle, and the center of the circle is actually how we name a circle. So if this center over here was marked with the letter A, we would call that circle A, just like that. So the center of the circle gives the circle its name, okay? And if we were going to talk about the actual definition of a circle, it says that once you find that center point, all other points are equidistant from that center point, which is how we form the circle, equidistance from that center point, okay? All right, who can tell me what circumference is?
Like the inside of the circle. Inside?
Is it the inside of the circle, or is it...
The line.
Okay, the distance around the circle,
Yeah.
right? So the circumference is the distance around. And maybe if you even put the word outside in there, the distance around the outside of the circle. That might help you understand. We're not going to do much with circumference today. We'll be doing that in a few days. But the circumference is that all the way around part.
The chord or the chord?
So that says chord.
Why is there an H in
Yeah, I don't know why we spell things the way we do. That's why I'm a math teacher. This is a picture of a chord. So looking at this picture of a chord over here, could you come up with a definition for me?
the quarter?
Okay, it doesn't always have to cut into like 4 pieces though. So I mean, quarter kind of means that you're breaking it into 4 equal pieces. Can you tell me about how many times the chord touches the circle? Twice. And a chord will do that every single time. It's the line segment that touches the circle twice.
Touches circles twice. Great.
Okay, can you tell me the most popular chord that we have in a circle? The one that we talk about all of the time. Anybody know it? It's the one that goes right through the center just like this.
Diameter.
That one's called the diameter.
I got you on that.
Thank you. So the special chord that we know is called the diameter. It goes through the center of the circle. All other chords just touch in 2 places. Okay? Mrs. Clark? Good. No, not today. Well, actually, that's not this class period. She would be next class period. Yep. Thanks. Bye. All right. Sorry about that, you guys. All right. So the diameter is a chord. Okay? All right. What's the radius of the circle?
Half the diameter. Yeah.
Okay. And it goes from the center to the edge, right, of the circle. I love that you said half the diameter. I'm going to write that down. Which really means that if I knew the diameter was 10, what would the radius be? 5. And if I knew the radius was 7, what would the diameter be?
3.5.
Oh, go the other way because I said radius this time.
Oh.
If the radius is 7, the diameter would be 14. There you go.
I was saying, like, the radius is 7.
Yeah, no, you're good. Okay. All right. The next one, looking at this picture right here, what do you think a segment is?
Isn't that like, I don't know, with the chord filled in?
Okay, I love that. Okay. I love that you said the chord filled in. So if you have a chord in your circle and you grab the piece of the circle that's formed by the chord, this would be called a segment. Okay, in the same right, wouldn't the other side of that be a segment also? It would be a segment of the circle, right? So that chord really breaks the circle into 2 different segments, right? So how could we write that as a definition? Could we put piece...
Circle into different segments.
Okay, So a chord breaks the circle into two segments, and the segments would be the pieces formed by the chords. Would that be okay? We'll say pieces of circle formed by a chord. Let's say it that way. Okay? So a segment's the pieces of a circle formed by a chord.
That H in there really bothers me.
Yeah, you don't like that there?
That chord.
All right, a tangent then. So look at this tangent line that's drawn over here. What do you think a tangent line is? What does it do with the circle?
Touch the outside.
It does, and guess, even though it looks like it touches in several points, guess how many it touches
One.
in? Yeah, and that spot that it touches in is called the point of tangency. Because it crosses in only one point called the point of tangency. But a tangent is a line segment. I should have put line there. So line segment outside the circle. That touches the circle once. Instead of saying touching the circle once, we could say that it intersects the circle one time, right? Because that's what intersection means, is that it touches. Okay, so what's the difference between a sector and a segment? Do you guys see the difference here? What's a sector formed by? So a segment was formed by chords. What's the sector formed by? Radius. Yeah, radii, because more than one of them. So a sector will always look like a pie piece, and it's formed by two radii. So formed by radii, and maybe I'll just put here that it will always look like a pie piece. Oh my goodness, I didn't spell that right. Let's start over. That shouldn't have been that hard to spell, but for some reason that was. All right. It's hard to see on this circle over here, the picture of the arc, but you see right here where it's darker from here to here? That little piece of the circumference is called an arc. And I'm just going to put that as my definition, a piece of the circumference. Now, when we take a piece of the circumference, we actually have two kinds of arcs that are formed. One is called a minor arc, and one is called a major arc. Does anybody think they know what a minor arc might be?
Small one.
A smaller one. Okay, how much smaller? Do you have any idea?
It's half the size of a major arc, I would believe.
Okay, so I'm going to say less than 180 degrees. Okay, anybody remember how many degrees are in a circle?
360.
Yeah, so when we're talking about a minor arc, we're talking about an arc that's less than half of the circle. So it has to be less than a semicircle, okay? So I could have a minor arc from here to here that I could call AB. And when I wrote that, it would look like this. It would be called arc AB, and I would put this arc symbol over the top of it like that, so that I know I'm talking about an arc, the outside edge, rather than a line segment or something, okay? So arc AB. And actually, if I put some other lines on here like this, and I just label them, so, or dots, I have A, B, I could go C, D, E. Would you guys agree with me that BC is also a minor arc?
Yeah.
Could I call BCD a minor arc from here all the way to here? Okay, so when I call that one, because it's minor, I'm going to call it with two letters still, so BD again. Because it's a minor arc, I'm going to use two letters to describe it. If I were going to talk about a major arc, though, and I'm just going to recopy what I did on this other one to kind of look the same. Here's A, here's B. So in the same little spots maybe as what I did on the other circle. Could you guys give me a major arc then this time?
AD.
So all the way to A to D. When you go from A to D and it's a major arc, you're going to call it A, B, C, D. So major arcs are called with more than 2 letters. And that's so that you know directional, kind of where you're going. So A, B, C, D. Now, if I would have gone and I would have just said that my arc was AD, I would have thought minor arc from A to D, because I would have called it with only 2 letters. Does that make sense? A minor arc has 2 letters usually to describe it, and a major arc would have all of the letters to describe it, or more than 2 letters to describe it. So how about, could I go like B, C, D, E?
Yeah. That works.
Any arc that's more than half the circle or more than 180 degrees would be a major arc. So again, 2 letters on the minor arc, more than 2 letters on the major arc. Okay? All right, what's a central angle then? Anybody think they know what a central angle is going to be? What does central mean? Yeah, central means middle. So what do you think the angle has to do then? Touch the middle. So any angle that you form that touches the middle of the circle is called the central angle. So if we had a central angle, it would be labeled something like this, and we would call that angle ABC, or you could call it angle CBA. So 3 letters to call an angle when we're talking about them inside of a circle usually. Okay, so again, a central angle has to touch the center of the circle. Okay, all right, inscribed angle. Does anybody know what the word inscribed means? No? It usually just means inside. So where's my angle going to be at? Inside the circle. And it's going to touch the side of my circle 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. This is an inscribed angle. It touches the circle 3 times. And it's inside. And again, just like when we just did the central angle, it's going to be described by 3 letters. So if this is A and B and C, then it would still be angle A, B, C. Okay? So inscribed is inside the circle. So what do you think circumscribed means? Outside the circle. Circumscribed are a little bit harder to draw, but it's going to touch, it's kind of like a line of tangency on one side, because it's that tangent line that touches only one spot, and then a line of tangency on the other side to get that circumscribed angle. Okay, so outside the circle, and it still touches the circle twice, okay, to form that angle. And again, usually you'd have a point here to describe it and a point here called those points of tangency, and you'd have it out here as an angle. So you would still call it by 3 letters. Okay? All right, that's a lot of information. Let's see if you can remember what any of it is now. So one thing I didn't tell you was a secant. I'll go over that when we look at these. So circle, what's the name of this circle going to be? Anybody remember what we said we were going to call it? E. We call it circle E because the center of the circle is the letter E. So the circle symbol is a circle with a dot in it. Clearly not a good circle on my part. Do your best to make a circle, but we would call that circle E. Okay? Now I have more than one chord there. Do you guys agree with me? A chord touches the inside of the circle twice. So I actually have a chord that's F, G. And then what's my other chord? IH. Okay. F, G, and IH are both chords. Could you give me a radius?
EG.
Yeah, EG. It goes from the center to the edge. So from E to G, and then so what's my other radius in this circle? EF, good. And do you notice when we do line segments, we just put that straight line over it? So line segments have this straight line over it. Okay, a tangent. Anybody remember what I said a tangent was? It touches the edge of the circle once on the outside, right? So what's my tangent line going to be called? JK. And if you wanted to call it by more than 2 letters, you could, but J to K does it for me, or KJ would have been fine. Okay. Diameter? FG, we already said that. It's a chord and a diameter. So secant is the only one that we didn't talk about. Anybody know what a secant is? It's a line that touches the circle twice instead of a segment. Okay, but we're not doing secants today, or actually this entire chapter, so we're not going to worry about that. Okay. Oh, good for you. Awesome. Okay, really fast, help me go through this one. What are we calling the circle? Circle A from the center. Tell me the chords. CB. Okay, so DE, do you see how those points are not on the... Yeah, so that would not be necessarily a chord unless it was labeled on those points right there. There we go, HI. All right, the radius. CA, totally works. And one more. Yeah, BA or AB. Okay, is there a tangent line? Yeah, it's FG, right? And the diameter has to go through the center, so CB. Okay. All right. Name the arc shown in bold. Anybody know what this arc's going to be called? Yeah, it's a minor arc and it's AB. So you go AB with the arc symbol over top of it. And I love that you said it's minor. It is a minor arc because it's less than 180 degrees. Okay, this time, do you see that it's a major arc? You can call it this direction or you could call it that direction. It doesn't matter, but you have to show how many letters? More than 2, right? So what arc do you want to call that? ADB. I'm okay with that. I would have gone BDA just because I like to go counterclockwise, but it doesn't matter. It's the same arc. And this one would be a major arc, right? Because it's more than half of the circle. Okay, last one, this highlighted part right here. This one's actually a semicircle arc, right? It's 180 degrees. So to be safe, we're going to call it with 3 letters. Because we said to be minor, it had to be less than 180 degrees. I didn't really say that a major could be 180, but if it's going to be 180, we're going to call it a major arc. Okay? All right, last set of questions on here. It says A and B are, from A to B is a diameter, which helps us know that that's a semicircle. And then F and E is also a diameter, so we know semicircle this direction. And it wants to know if we're looking at a major arc or a minor arc. So from A to E. From A to E, major or minor? Minor. AEB, AEB. That's major. We could, oh, I don't know why I can't spell major today. There's an A in there, right? Major. You could also call that a semicircle if you were trying to, be more precise. Okay. FDE. Yeah, it's major. What is my problem with the word major today, you guys? Oh my gosh. Doesn't that say major? No, it doesn't, but that's what I meant. I can't do it. I just did it again. Major. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I can't do it. My J and my A are like one. Anyways, all right. It does. DFB. So from D. to F to B. So did you see directional that time though? Yeah, that one is major still. I'm going to go MAJ and try to just do that. FA, minor. BE, minor. B, yeah, because I gave you that hint, didn't I? 2 letters are going to usually be minor. Yep, so BDA, BDA, that's a major. And FB. So from F to B, minor, yeah. So you have to go, because it can't be this way, because then it would have had to have more than 3 letters, right, to describe it. So minor.